So it looks like we already have 11 people on the line. So thank you for jumping on.
11 to see us.
11 to see us, like we're special or
numbers
something.
down.
I wore makeup today, that's why. For like the first time in months.
And this is what you get to experience when you come join us in St. Louis in August, friends.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, we're at 17 now.
Excellent. Looks like the crowd is coming.
We already have 11 people on the line. Yep. Oh, there's the delay. Who's got their Facebook open?
I turned mine off.
Mine's open.
Yeah,
Am I screwing that up?
No, we just heard your audio. Did you turn the audio off on your Facebook side?
I did, I think.
Okie dokie. Artichoke.
Oh, Lord.
All right, so we already have 17 people on the line, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. And I want to see who's here because we always do that check-in every single fireside. Todd, I don't know if you've checked in on the other ones we've done. Everyone puts a comment in and says where they're from. It's the best part. See who's joined us. So I'd love to see that. Oh, Todd, you are here.
Thought I could start.
Thank you for joining us today.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Okay. All right. So again, thank you for joining us, everyone. This fireside is essentially going to be all about the conference. Good afternoon, Cindy and Elsie. We're very excited for it, and we wanted to just have this opportunity to share some details and answer any questions that you have. I'm sure she needs no introduction, but we have Jen Serling here. Jen is the president-elect of the AVTE, and she is the conference committee chair. And then we also have Sir Todd Von Deak, who is the executive director of the AVTE. And I'm Jess Campbell, and I'm sure if you've been on a fireside, you've seen my face before, so sorry about that. Anyway.
And Jess, you are the best.
Oh, thank you, Jen. I put it in my notes that you're the best.
Aw, it's a little best.
It is. So there are a lot of familiar names popping up, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to delve into the conference. So before we do that, though, Todd, Jen, is there anything you guys want to say to our attendees?
I'm just super excited about this conference. I know I always say that every year, but I really think we've put together a really strong program, and I'm also very excited to get out of the state of Arizona. So
I want to do one better than Jen. I want to give you a secret that only 21 of you will know, that we're not going to publicize anywhere else. If you happen to use and you register between now and May 15th using the code Fireside, we'll take 10% off your registration. So that's a code that only 21 of you have access to. 19, because I know there's staff on the line, including myself. But that's just a little bit of thanks for being here with us.
But don't tell anyone else.
Don't tell, please. Please, pretty please.
It's a secret.
Maybe you should. Where are we starting?
Hello, Paula. Paula's joined us. Yay. Okay. If you have any questions throughout this chat, please just pop them in the chat in the Facebook, and we'll get to them at the end. And we just want to make sure we cover everything, any questions that you have. So before we go into anything more specific, what are the goals?
Shauna.
Yeah.
Fireside is the code.
Yes, Fireside is the code.
I'm just not putting it in the chat. Extra credit comes from those who are here, not those who get lucky later.
Yes, fair. Big picture. What are the goals of this conference overall? What are we trying to achieve here?
Well, I think we're coming out on the other side of this insanely crazy 2020 and so far still nutty 21. And I think it's a time to get together, to have camaraderie, to share ideas and network and just really kind of celebrate getting through the craziness.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Like, I haven't met you in person, so
No,
I
I
can't
know.
wait to meet you in person. I don't know, Todd, have you met Jen in person before?
Mm-mm.
No? Oh,
You know, I think it's time to say that we're getting back. It's time to come back together. It's time to hook back into these things that I can tell so quickly and so easily that are core to the AVTE, which is community, which is knowledge sharing, which is supporting each other. And we're going to do our dangdest to give you an experience that rivals past ones, even in the pandemic and even in St. Louis.
yeah. And that was something that we really took into consideration with the conference committee, just making sure that it's the best that we can make it for everyone, all our members coming together finally after so long apart. Now I know there's probably questions about the hybrid aspect of this because it is going to be a hybrid conference.
Mm-hmm.
So you can attend online or in person. You can join us. What exactly is hybrid, Todd?
A word that doesn't just apply to my kids' school, that's for sure. You know, as we talk about this, I don't even want to call it hybrid. I want to call it hybrid a bit on steroids, you know, because we will have attendees that will be with us virtually. We know that. We will have attendees that will be with us in person, and we want everyone to do whatever it is that they are most comfortable with. But it's not going to be a static come sit at a lecture. We're working hard to make sure that if you're looking through a computer screen, you're engaged with the people that are in the room. And if you're in the room, that you're engaging with the people on the other side. So I think you're going to see presentations, but you're going to see a virtual host, an in-person host, and a little bit of TV maybe at the same time. And on top of that, it's not going to be just, we envision an experience, one that's not just about the sessions too. We're going to try and work in some interviews with folks, some candid side conversations, some heard in the hall moments, and almost have a reporter on scene. So if you can't be with us, maybe you're hearing about a little more of the experience and you're here vicariously. So that's really what we're trying to craft, is an experience. And I think that's the biggest word. But one way or the other, the content will be there for you. The opportunity to engage with speakers will be there with you, and all of that. In that realm, what that means is that we will be making some choices about what we stream live. And we'll be streaming a variety of things live, but not everything at the same moment. We'll be recording everything, so you can tune into what the TV station is showing you all day long during the conference. And that night we'll be frantically editing like hamsters on a wheel. And from there, the tapes will be up and there'll be an on-demand library. And I think one of the neat parts is, whether you're there in person or you're there virtually, that library is yours for about 90 days. You know, September, October, November, actually, hell, it's there through the end of the calendar year for you, as part of your registration, to go back, to figure out what you missed in a talk you saw, to catch a talk that you didn't see. So it's, and to engage with the community at the same time. So we're hoping that the conference is a couple days in August, but the conversation, the learning from each other, the leveraging these resources, the speakers, the decks, is going on for 90, 100 plus days after that. So I think that's one of the neat parts. And Jen hasn't tried to kick me literally under the table yet, so I'm probably doing all right.
And I think, you know, one of the things, because we do, and we took into consideration that not everybody is comfortable traveling at this point and getting together at a in-person conference. But one of the beautiful things about AVTE and how it's always been is that sense of community, and, you know, getting ideas off one another and seeing people that you haven't seen, you know, in forever, and catching up, and just the support system and the network that we've created in this amazing organization. And I love that, even though I guess hybrid on steroids is a good way to put it, is having that that amazing opportunity still, even though some people are going to be online and some people are going to be in person, and still creating that opportunity for us to get together and catch up and support each other.
Yeah, and Jen, while certainly we understand that travel isn't a possibility at this point, and so glad you love the library idea. And Paula, face-to-face folks who are not the outgoing president will have access to the entire library. We'll figure out if the outgoing, we love Paula. We're just having fun. Paula Kirkwood has guided this organization through a pandemic, no small feat. But yes, everybody in person or virtual have the library. I think that's the future of conferences too. And where hopefully we'll head, that the material isn't just over a couple of days, that you can engage with it for a good long while. Aaron, your question, the price point is going to be the same on both. We do believe strongly that the value of the content is there. We're trying to make sure that it's worth it for everyone through that elongated access through the elongated community. I should point out too that we do also understand, to Jen Wells' point, that colleges aren't paying, and budgets have changed, and if folks are caught in a predicament, for lack of a better phrase, we would certainly hope that you would reach out to us. The last thing we want is someone of the community not being able to come because of some issue that maybe we could have a conversation about, and we can work something out and all of that. That's absolutely our goal. And Tawny, to your question about the benefits, not in addition to seeing Jen and me in person, which I would think is a hell of a benefit. Oh, Jess will be there too. That's right. I would also say, we would hope that the networking in person, the being together, or the getting out, certainly, I'd like to, we do believe confidently that we can deliver value. There's many folks over the virtual channel, as we have in our last virtual conference. There's folks who learn best in person. So I think it's particular to each of our individual, how it works for us, but all of that, and we'll go from there. But certainly happy to talk to anyone and about the conference and their individual setup and all of that. And we just want to take care of each other. This organization thrives when the simple focus is to take care of each other. And this conference is just another example. We want you there. We want you involved. We want to figure out how to help you get involved the best way for all that you've got going on and where you are.
And I know, Jen, you brought up that some people still aren't comfortable traveling and everything, but the hotel itself and AVTE, we're going to have our own precautions and things in place. Todd, do you think maybe you can expand on it a little bit so can maybe help
Sure.
feel a little more comfortable coming in person?
I feel like we're getting close in August to the capstone of a year-long research project, and watching how others do this and whatnot. I can start by telling you where I am personally, and I'm on the more conservative side of things as it relates to navigating my own life through this. So I think that's the place you want the guy who's one of the chief risk managers to be in all of this. We will have, the spacing will be there. We are confident, and I think the hotel is getting tired of hearing of all of our questions, which won't stop. They won't stop at all. We have folks that we as the staff engage with in conversations from outside of the hotel space, and to advise us and make sure that we're being safe and whatnot. So you'll see the high touch areas cleaned. You'll see the distance that's appropriate for the time. You'll see the food in, but what we should say, Lori, it's actually at the Ritz in St. Louis, not the Marriott. But there are going to be some differences. I mean, that's just a reality. There's going to be some rules, whatever's in place at the time, about what does networking look like. It's not going to be having holding your cup on top of your plate so that it stays there and you can still have your chicken wing and all of that and walking around. You may have to sit, eat a little bit, and get up and move. We are certainly going to be supportive of the hotel and what the local folks tell us we need to do. You know, that the meals will be individual containers and whatnot. And as we get in June and July, we'll show you a little more of what that says, you know, because we want to do right. We're headed off to some other conferences to go make sure we understand and go experience live ourselves before you all have to, before we ask you all to come experience this. We're out experiencing it and talking with colleagues in the space. In some ways it will feel the same, in other ways it will be different. That's just a reality of what we live in.
Right.
Yep.
So I know I'm sure people are very interested in hearing all about the agenda and all of that. But before
Got a
we
hell
go
of a
there,
reply to the call, didn't we, Jen?
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Exactly.
I've done this 3 times now. This is the 3rd AVTE conference that I've been on the committee for. And this was just overwhelming in the amount of proposals that we got. And I know Todd touched on it briefly, but because we got so many good proposals, we were going to basically have bonus content. So some of you guys will be hearing from us reaching out about recording like a fireside chat type webinar that we can put up on the website and have bonus content, because it was really hard to narrow it down to 35, I think it was.
35.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, out of
There was
69.
Yeah, and it's organized in 3 tracks: self-care, teaching, right? Is that what did we
skills.
call them again? I this is where I get afraid if I'm not staring at a list that I'm going to misquote it.
We've got self-care, teaching skills, and we did the road ahead.
Road ahead.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I like that track, because that track is not really, you know, you could think that it's a catch-all, you know, everything that doesn't fit in the other 2 that we think that the committee thinks we ought to bring is in there, but it really is looking at what can you do to take knowledge from the conference and go put it into play the day after. But that road ahead is also helping us to think about what is the future. And I think we have to tackle both questions at the same time with a little bit of thought provoking, a little bit of, you know, challenging the assumptions that we're core in, but also understanding that we'll all be teaching. Well, I teach in business, not in veterinary technology, but we're all going to be teaching the day we get back. So
Well,
there's an immediacy to it.
And also looking at what we've learned over the last year and a half and taking that and being able to take the good things that came out of the pandemic and applying that into what we're going to be doing in the future. And it was interesting with those 3 tracks. The proposals that came in, it was almost like this just kind of natural progression into where the proposals would kind of fit in. So we had, you know, and I think there's been a huge push in regards to self-care, not just with the pandemic, but in veterinary medicine in general. And so there were some really good, strong proposals in regards to that. And so that kind of just seemed, well, we absolutely need to have a track on that. And then it was, well, we always need new teaching skills. I love having a new arsenal for my students. And so that was, you know, just a progression. And then the road ahead, like I just said, you know, what have we learned and what are we going to do in the future? And what can we do in the future?
So very true. So hallway with, Tawny asked the question, what would you recommend for as a first timer to taking advantage of? And Paula's trying to earn her right to get access to the library as a current president by throwing out a great suggestion that just connect. Those conversations, I think, are near and dear and central.
Yeah, and looking at Tawny's, and I apologize, I'm looking down at my phone because it's not popping up on my computer screen, but to someone that's never been to one of these conferences before, again, kind of that sense of camaraderie and going, you know what, I had that same problem, or I had this problem, what did you guys do, or what do you have suggestions, and just, you know, learning new things. And I remember the first conference that I went to, it was just this huge eye-opening experience, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of these people are doing the same things I'm trying to do, and having these incredible mentors and listening to these speakers and going, oh my God, that's like the most amazing idea. It energizes me because, you know, again, particularly now we get burnout. I mean, that's just a thing that happens. And going to these conferences just gives me new life to kind of breathe into my teaching. So I cannot recommend it enough. I know I'm biased, but
You are biased. You're
am.
the conference chair. You're inherently biased. I think the other thing too is we're navigating some special gatherings too. I know that the student NAVTA folks will be there. I think there's a few other groups, and we're certainly have our ears out if anyone listening is connected with a group that you think ought to be together in St. Louis. You know, we're working this as the position of trying to be a convener. So we want to be helpful to everyone on the individual level and helpful on the group level. And whatever we can do to just lift up this community we all share is the underlying goal. That's the underlying goal, to help each other, help the students that you serve. I don't think it's deeper or more complicated than that. So we got some other speakers too, right? I think,
Yes.
you know, we let's just say, I'm going to tease something out because it's not in writing yet, so I can't say it all, but I think we're days away from a major announcement about the conference, gosh willing. And boy, was that a gutsy move for me to go that far. But there's a certain speaker that our conference chair has just idolized forever, that we're not knocking down as a keynote. And I've insisted she call because it gives her the EBGBs and wigs her out every time she has to call this person who maybe you've seen on stage and screen, connected to the veterinary community. And I'm going to leave it at that, but I think we're going to have some folks there. But we do have one for sure we can mention in terms of initials of MB, can't we, Jen?
We can, yeah. So Marty Becker, the creator of Fear Free, and just this amazing veterinarian and speaker and educator, is going to be our keynote, and he will be there in person. He'll have a Fear Free booth there, I believe, and he's going to deliver an in-person keynote, but it obviously will also be broadcast. And I spent about 45 minutes on the phone with him. Nicest guy ever, and just absolutely fascinating to listen to. So I think he's going to make an amazing talk.
You want to tease out anything else about the other one that shall remain nameless?
So we're not delving who it is.
We can't yet.
We can't yet. Okay.
I think you got to have that signature.
Because I believe it's on the website.
Just took it down.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Thank goodness. Bonus points. If anyone knows who that person was and you email us, not posted in the chat, we'll give you a special AVTE prize. help@avte.net if you know the thing that maybe we needed to take down in the last 5 minutes. Because we're hoping to make an announcement. And the beauty of this community, I think, Jen and Jess, is that we can joke about it. We think we're there, and even if we're not, you know, it's still going to be a great time and everything. And nobody, no one thing makes or breaks this conference. It's just being together. Jen Wells saw it. She's not putting it in the chat, or she's losing her past president card. And she can email it to us, and we'll send you some swag. For sure.
Are we giving clues or no?
First initial is T. I'd stop there. I like T. It works for me too. So hey, and I'm not the keynote.
Okay.
What else do we need to say? If y'all have questions, Stephanie Nickel asked about CVTA. Yes, they will be there. And they will be doing a session there in connection with that community. Oh, everybody saw it. Ria's even emailed already. Don't tell anybody, Ria. Don't blow this. Let us have our moment, please. Those of you who saw it can understand why Jen Serling was probably a little calling her. Yes, it was Marilyn Jackson. You're right too. Where the heck was I?
I don't fangirl very often, and I fangirled talking to this person and sounded probably like a moron, but I don't care. And I even saved their contact information on my phone just so I could say I have their phone number.
Yeah. if y'all have any other questions, CVTA is definitely there. What else do we have? Big groups in the schedule. There are other standouts. Maybe Jen, your 2 or 3 things in the agenda that really stood out to you.
AAVSB is also going to be there talking about VTNE.
Yep.
CVTA is always a huge one. Rebecca Rose, who probably a lot of you guys know, Rebecca Rose is doing a couple presentations. There's some heavy hitters and really some good topics.
For sure. And we should also hit on, we have a little bit of fun competition too. We're going to have a trivia night with Zuko Review, which is fun veterinary trivia, and it's not all about what's on the tests. It's some random offshoot things too. And I think what we're doing is that y'all are going to compete against the board. And anybody who can manage to beat the board at trivia is going to get one of our famed "I went up against the board" t-shirts, and I'm smarter than a board member. We have these t-shirts. We use them with anybody's student group. If you're ever interested, you can take them on in a trivia contest. And if your students win, we send Starbucks and t-shirts to everybody. But you're going to have your chance to win that t-shirt too. And I just made that up. So good luck, Jen.
Yeah, thanks. Because I lost gloriously against somebody. I can't remember which college it was, but they killed me in a Kahoot.
You and Trish Gorman.
To my defense, I was sick with COVID at the time, so I had COVID brain. I cannot use that excuse when I get killed at this conference.
Yeah, true story. What else? So you've called out some of the bigger sessions. If anybody has questions, please throw it in.
And the agenda is up. So
yeah, we've got that link in the chat.
And actually, some of our speakers are watching right now.
Yeah,
there's a few of them that have tuned in.
Yeah, we should also note too that there will be an exhibit program virtually and in person as well. So you have an opportunity to interact with those folks. We certainly want this to be the complete 360 experience that you would have otherwise in any other year. It will look and feel a little bit different, but the concept will still be underlying the same. So you got the trivia, you got the exhibits, you've got all of these things going on. I really think that we hope you will engage. The last thing I'd probably say about this, and if you know anything, if you're planning to come and be with us, I think this note is probably to you the most. If you've ever gone to a conference, you go, you have to make these decisions. Do I stay at the conference hotel? Don't I stay at the conference hotel? Maybe I can get it cheaper. All of these other things, which I think are perfectly appropriate ponderings, as I do it all the time too. And if you're bringing in a large conference, also that you make some guarantees to hotels and whatnot about what you're going to do. And that's always one of our biggest worries. But this year in the pandemic, the Ritz in our hotel has been a true partner in every sense of the word with us, working with those things. And to that degree, I certainly would like you to make smart choices for your own personal situation. But the Ritz has waived a lot of guarantees and made this a barely risk environment for us to bring the conference. And if they hadn't done that, we may have honestly had to consider the question of going virtual again another year. So if you're coming to St. Louis and it's within your wherewithal and your comfort to join us at that hotel, I just think it would be wrong of me and Jess and Jen not to just throw that out there and invite you to support the hotel however you can, because they're making it possible in many ways. We may very well have had to call for a virtual event if we couldn't get them to be our partners, and how we looked at what are typical contractual obligations to bring a conference anywhere in a normal day and time, which this certainly isn't.
And the hotel and travel industry in general has really suffered. So what support we can offer them, and the pricing in regards to the room, I believe is really competitive. So it's not like horrifically awful, particularly if you think about staying at a Ritz. But try if you can, and if you're comfortable. Plus, we want to see you guys, and coming there in person would really mean a lot to all of us.
And Paula Kirkwood's going to be hanging out in the hall to have all those conversations with everybody. She's going to be the mayor of the hall at the AVTE conference. Rhea, everyone does register through the same portal. I saw that question. We try to keep everything together. Don't know if anybody else has any other questions, but I think we've hit the highlights. We've spent about 30 minutes laughing, bantering, and at least talking about things. I think more than anything to me, was the one thing I tried to underscore is that we just want you to be part of this community and be part of this event, whatever that means for you. And there's multiple people in the office, every one of the 7 board members who are committed to helping you do that. So if you have a question, something you'd like to work through, an idea, whatever, I hope you'll reach out, because this is about making sure you have the best possible experience. And we're committed to doing that one by one, for everyone, and we will engage as you engage us.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't hesitate to reach out with any comments or suggestions or questions. We're all there. We're either on Facebook or via email. Do not hesitate, because we, like Todd said, we want to make you guys as comfortable and make this as great of an experience as possible. Because for a lot of us, this will be the first time we've really ventured, out of our home states in quite a while.
Leah, right, you can absolutely set up a trivia night with the board and your students. Help at avte.net. We will get that set up. I predict you'll win, so we'll already start prepping the shirts to send to your students. Jen tried an excuse. It wasn't about that. She didn't lose because of that.
It is. I will say though, it is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and then seeing the kids doing I call them kids. They're not kids, but seeing them do their Kahoot and everything. So, but we can do it however. If you guys do Kahoot or however you guys want to set it up, we're pretty open.
Tammy, we don't have. We'll check on the hotel and see what they're doing round trip and whatnot. We'll definitely make sure that our page is talking about options and possibilities as it relates to getting from the airport to the hotel. So stay tuned for that. And if you don't see it, grateful if you'd keep us honest and just email help@avte.net and double check with us.
You're not going to have a van and go and pick up people?
No. Someone has to make sure you don't run up the food bill unnecessarily.
Or bring horses into the hotel.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm still working on the Clydesdale.
Yeah. All right. Unless there's something else, Jess, that Jen and I and you missed, I think we did it, and we say thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just want to say to the speakers that are tuned in, that if you want to email me before you register, you can do help@avte.net, or most of you should already have my email. So we can get you a special code for our wonderful speakers. And then I just wanted to say thank you for joining us, and the 11 people who've already registered. And we hope to see everyone there.
There. And thanks to everyone who completed our surveys. Paula notes in the comments that feedback has really been helpful, and we're grateful for that too.
Yeah, that was a huge response that we got. So we super appreciate that, because those of you guys know how hard it can be to get people to take surveys. So we got a lot of great feedback from that, and that's going to help for not just this conference, but for future conferences.
True story.
Yeah.
All right. I have a pandemic school going on down the hall. I think I have to go see if they're actually learning.
Thanks,
all right,
guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day, everybody.